Okay, so picture this.
Hmm.
You're scrolling through your social media feed, right? And you stop on this, like, perfect photo, a super vibrant, beautiful salad bowl, everything arranged just so, and the caption, just hashtag clean eating.
Mm-hmm. See him all the time.
Exactly. It looks so healthy, so aspirational. But what does clean actually mean there? Is the lettuce just, you know, really well washed, or is it something deeper almost? A moral thing about the person eating it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. Clean eating.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere in wellness culture. But honestly, ask 10 people what it means, you'll probably get 10 different answers.
Uh-huh. Very slippery concept.
Which makes it absolutely perfect for our deep dive today.
Mm.
It looks like this simple, straightforward path to being healthy, but when you peel back the layers, you find this whole tangle of confusing rules, sometimes moral judgments, and frankly, some really clever marketing.
Definitely some clever marketing involved.
So our mission today, let's pull back that curtain. Let's really get into how this idea came about, where it came from, look at the science, what it gets right, what it maybe gets wrong, and hopefully help you find a way to think about food that feels, well, clearer and less stressful. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Okay, so where do we even start? Is this purely an Instagram thing?
Well, that's what's fascinating. Instagram definitely blew it up in the 2010s, no question. But the actual idea, purifying your diet for health, that's much older. It actually has roots going way back to the 19th century.
The 19th century, really?
Yeah, think about the natural hygiene movement back then. You had figures like Sylvester Graham,
Wait, the graham cracker guy?
the very same. He was big on vegetarianism, whole grains, and he genuinely believed that eating sort of bland, natural foods could do everything from fix indigestion
Hmm.
to curbing what he called immoral thoughts.
Wow. So right from the start, it wasn't just about physical health. There was this morality angle baked in.
Pretty much, yeah. That thread kind of weaves through its history. But jumping ahead to its more modern form, that really gained steam in the mid-2000s. A lot of that was driven by wellness authors. Toscarino's The Eat Clean Diet books were incredibly popular.
I remember those. What was her specific take?
Hers was quite structured, actually. Lots of small meals, lean protein, complex carbs. But the absolute core was choose whole, natural foods. And, importantly, avoid anything processed, refined, or artificial. Very clear boundaries.
Okay, so structure, clear rules.
Right. But then came social media. Instagram especially just transformed it. It went from being a diet plan to being this visual aesthetic. A symbol, really.
Like a symbol of what, exactly?
Well, health, sure, but also discipline, beauty, maybe even a certain socioeconomic status, you know?
Yeah.
Suddenly it was all about these gorgeous spirulina smoothies, quinoa bowls, like perfect avocado toast.
Ah, the avocado toast, iconic.
Totally. And that's where it really started to fragment. Clean eating became less of a single philosophy and more like thousands of different personal rule books, often in contradicting each other.
Okay, but here's the real kicker, right? The central problem. You try to find an official definition for clean eating, like a scientific one, a medical one.
Bug luck.
Exactly. It doesn't exist. It's basically a marketing term, a cultural idea, a hashtag. It operates like this. Choose your own adventure game of restrictions, but the rules aren't written down anywhere. You just sort of feel them. You know that feeling?
Oh, I absolutely know that feeling. It's all implied. But if you did try to stitch together what most people mean by it, you'd see some common threads.
Like what? What's the general vibe?
Well, the foundation is usually eating whole, single ingredient foods. You know, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, nuts, legumes, the basics.
Makes sense. Stuff that looks like it came from nature.
Right. And then there's the universal avoid list that almost always includes processed foods, refined sugars, think white sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and refined grains, like white flour.
Okay. The usual suspects in dietary advice.
Pretty much. But then it often levels up. A lot of versions also push for cutting out or seriously reducing dairy, gluten, soy, sometimes alcohol, caffeine.
Okay. So it gets more restrictive.
It can. And then you have what you might call the hardcore version.
The really intense one.
Yeah. That's where you get into things like only organic produce, grass-fed meat, wild-caught fish. Avoiding any GMOs, additives, preservatives becomes critical.
And how you cook it matters too, right?
Definitely. Preparation rules pop up. Food should be simple, steamed, grilled, maybe raw, frying, heavy sauces, generally off limits. You can imagine the mental load.
Oh, totally. So for you listening, you can see how it becomes this slippery slope, can't you? You start with something totally reasonable like, hey, I should eat more vegetables.
A great goal.
A great goal. But it can quickly slide into this constant anxiety. Is this apple organic? Is the chicken grass-fed? Oh no, does this dressing have hidden sugar? It just sucks the joy out of eating, doesn't it? It becomes this burden.
It really can. That's the hidden cost. But, to be fair, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater entirely. Inside this whole confusing clean eating thing, there is a kernel of solid science.
Okay, what's the good part?
The emphasis on cutting back on ultra-processed foods, UPFs. That's where lines up pretty well with mainstream nutritional advice.
Right, UPFs. We hear that term a lot now. But maybe we should clarify, it doesn't just mean any food that's been processed, does it? Because, cooking is processing. Yogurt is processed.
Exactly. That's a super important distinction. Scientists use this system called NOVA to classify foods based on their level of processing. It helps make sense of it.
Okay, NOVA. Break that down for us. How does it work?
Sure. So there are 4 groups. Group 1 is unprocessed or minimally processed foods. Think an apple right off the tree, a carrot, a plain chicken breast, stuff that's basically as it is in nature, maybe just washed or cut.
Got it. Simple stuff.
Group 2 is processed culinary ingredients. These are things extracted from Group 1 foods or from nature used in cooking, like olive oil, maple syrup, salt, butter.
Okay, ingredients we use to prepare food.
Precisely. Group 3 is processed foods. This is where you combine foods from Group 1 and 2. Think simple canned vegetables, cheese, fresh bread from a bakery, canned fish. They've been altered but are often still recognizable.
Still relatively simple combinations.
Yes. And then you get to Group 4, ultra-processed foods. This is the category that clean eating, at its core, rightly targets.
So what defines Group 4? What makes them ultra-processed?
These are typically industrial formulations. They're made mostly from substances extracted from foods like fats, starches, sugars, or synthesized in labs, like flavor enhancers, emulsifiers, artificial colors. They often contain little or no whole food.
Can you give some classic examples?
Oh, yeah. Think sugary breakfast cereals, packaged cookies and cakes, sodas, instant noodles, frozen nuggets, most packaged snacks, many ready-to-eat meals.
Okay, that list makes a lot of intuitive sense. And we know, right, that lots of big studies connect eating too many of these UPFs with higher risks for things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, even depression.
Absolutely. The evidence is quite strong and growing.
So why? What is it about these UPFs that's potentially problematic?
Well, there are a few key reasons. First, they tend to be nutrient poor but calorie dense. They've often had the good stuff, fiber, vitamins, minerals stripped out, and instead they're packed with added sugar, unhealthy fats, and loads of sodium.
So lots of calories, not much nutrition.
Exactly. Second, they're often hyperpalatable. They are literally engineered to taste amazing and hit all those bliss points in our brain, the perfect combo of salt, sugar, fat. This can override our natural fullness cues, making it super easy to eat too much.
Engineered deliciousness.
Pretty much. And finally, they generally have low satiety. Because they often lack fiber and protein, the things that help us feel full, you just don't stay satisfied for long. So you end up snacking more, eating more calories overall.
Makes sense.
So yes, that part of clean eating, the part that says maybe swap the chips for nuts or the soda for water, that's based on really solid nutritional science, focusing more on whole and minimally processed foods, that's generally a great strategy for health.
Okay, so we salvage that core idea. Less ultra-processed stuff, more whole foods. Good advice. But the danger zone with clean eating isn't that advice itself. It's the whole culture around it, isn't it? The fear, the moral judgments, the drive for perfection.
That's where it gets really problematic.
Let's dig into some of those myths it perpetuates. Myth number 1 seems to be food is either clean and good or dirty and bad. Black and white.
Right. In the reality, food just doesn't have moral value. Labeling it like that creates so much unnecessary guilt and shame. Eating a slice of birthday cake doesn't make you a bad person.
And eating a kale salad doesn't automatically make you virtuous either.
Exactly. It completely strips food of its context, its role in culture, celebration, pleasure, social connection. That black and white thinking is classic diet culture, and it's just not helpful.
So true. And we've probably all felt that little pang of guilt, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Conditions of, okay, what's another myth? How about you have to cut out whole food groups to be healthy, like gluten or dairy?
Yeah, that's a big one. The reality is, unless you have a specific diagnosed medical reason like celiac disease needing gluten-free or severe lactose intolerance, there's usually no scientific need to arbitrarily eliminate entire food groups.
And you might miss out on nutrients.
For sure, whole grains offer fiber, B vitamins, dairy offers calcium, protein. Cutting them out without a real medical necessity can lead to deficiencies and honestly just a really anxious, stressful relationship with food.
Okay, critical point. What about myth 3? Clean eating is the absolute peak of health. Like, it's the best way to eat.
Yeah, the danger here is that for some people, this relentless pursuit of cleanliness and health can actually tip over into an eating disorder called orthorexia nervosa.
Orthorexia, tell us more
Ah.
about that.
It's basically an unhealthy obsession with eating healthy food. Someone with orthorexia becomes fixated on the purity or quality of their food to the point where it seriously disrupts their life.
How does that manifest?
They might feel extreme anxiety around foods they deem unclean. They might isolate themselves socially to avoid situations where they can't control the food. And ironically, they can end up malnourished because their diet becomes so restrictive in the quest for purity.
That's a really serious and important warning.
Okay.
Okay, one more myth. Myth 4. If the label says natural, it must be clean and good for you.
The natural label. Such a tricky one. The reality is that term on a food package is, well, it's virtually meaningless from a regulatory standpoint, especially in the US. It's not tightly defined like organic is.
So it's mostly marketing.
Largely, yes. I mean, think about it. Arsenic is natural, lead is natural, mercury is natural. That doesn't make them good for you. And lots of things labeled natural, like agave, nectar, or honey, are still high in sugar and should be used in moderation.
Yeah.
It just creates this health halo effect.
Okay, so natural doesn't automatically mean healthy or clean. Good reminder. So we've unpacked the history, the rules, the science, the myths. If clean eating is this flawed, complicated thing, where does that leave us? What's a better way forward?
I think the future is really about moving beyond rigid rules and towards nutritional literacy and food flexibility.
Nutritional literacy,
Mhm.
meaning understanding the why.
Exactly. Instead of just having a list of good and bad foods, it's about understanding the basics. What do proteins do? Why are fats important? What's the deal with carbs? Why is fiber so beneficial? When you get the why, you're empowered to make choices that work for your body and life, not just blindly follow a diet.
That feels much more empowering, doesn't it? Less about restriction, more about knowledge.
Absolutely. And it shifts the focus from exclusion to inclusion. Instead of stressing about what you can't eat, think about what you can add.
Oh, I like that. The addition mindset.
Yeah, like instead of worrying if your dressing has a gram of sugar, maybe focus on adding another handful of spinach to your salad or some beans or some nuts. It's a much more positive and sustainable way to think about improving your diet.
That makes so much sense. Less policing, more nourishing.
Precisely. And it allows for flexibility. Think about the 80-20 rule or maybe 90-10. Focus on those nourishing whole foods most of the time, but leave room, guilt-free room, for foods you eat just for joy, for celebration, for connection. It's about finding a balance that actually works long-term.
So wrapping this up, we started this deep dive asking what clean eating really means.
Yeah.
And we've seen it's, well, complicated. It often starts from a good place wanting to eat healthier, but gets tangled up in marketing, social media pressures, and this perfectionist streak in diet culture. The core advice hidden inside eat more whole foods. Cut back on the ultra-processed stuff that part holds up scientifically. But the rigid rules, the moral language, the anxiety it can create, that can be genuinely harmful.
Definitely. So maybe the next time you see that hashtag clean eating post, you can look at it differently. Appreciate the fresh food, sure, but you don't have to internalize any implied judgment. You can grab that nugget of truth. Yeah, plants are good without falling into the trap that only one kind of plate is acceptable.
So reframing the question for yourself.
Right. Moving past, is my food clean? And asking instead, does this way of eating truly nourish my body? Does it support my mental health? Does it actually bring me joy? Or does it cause stress? Those feel like much better questions to ask.
I agree completely. Let's try to move past this stressful idea of food purity. Because real, lasting health probably isn't found in perfection. It's more likely found in balance, in knowledge, and honestly, in a good dose of self-compassion. Maybe the goal isn't just a plate that looks clean, but a life that feels whole.